I think all four of us would agree on that. No one is saying he shouldn't even be on the roster. We all believe he should be there.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to go up against a squad that you just named and you are going to play a lower line, it makes a lot of sense to start that man. But when we go up against a high line, when we're going up against teams where we can have more possession.
Has it shown that it hasn't worked on the punch?
No, it hasn't. But we're not. The World Cup isn't in 2 weeks, dude.
You know, age is catching up to him a little bit. He's 37 years old. He is the oldest player named to the Copa America roster, the 10th field player cap after turning 37 years old, and he is the oldest field player to start a competitive match for the U.S. since 1998. He's been around. He has been a good soldier for the U.S. men's national team.
You're ready to give him his purple
I'm
heart?
waiting for the butt. both Alexis and Suze killed him.
On Friday.
Yes.
I didn't kill him.
I wasn't here. So.
Yeah, you retired him, both of you.
I didn't retire him.
You said it's time to move on.
And I think that I think that there is a tremendous amount of value in having him at this camp right now, especially with Pochettino and kind of that leadership. He's like the elder statesman of the group at this point. I'm just saying, for 2026, he will be 39, 38, 39. I think that there is enough depth at our center back position where Tim Ream, you know, it might be time to just.
So
he's going to be 38 on his way to turn 30. Like after the World Cup, he'll turn 30.
I will always die on the hill that if you, regardless of your age, if you are still the best at your position or still showing that you're the best defender, which he has, in my opinion, so far, then you should play.
Right, as long as you're good enough.
Okay, all right.
But hold up. But I have
a PBS show. Stop it. If we walk into the World Cup with a 38 going on 39-year-old center back, you don't think that's a bit of a weak
going
spot?
up
but if he can hold his own, can I pose a similarity?
Are you guys holding hands singing Kumbaya in the commercial? What are you talking about?
Can I pose a similar? It's a similar situation. I don't think it's the same. Pepe was phenomenal for Porto in the Champions League.
Yeah.
In the Champions League. And for Portugal. At his age, he was extraordinary. He understood his role with so much more maturity, a little bit less dark arts, a little bit more timeliness. Do you think that in Major League Soccer, Tim Ream can be just as sharp as he gets older?
Well, this is the conundrum, if you will. Major League Soccer, you're not playing as many matches. You have more vacation time. So for someone like Tim Ream, the more rest is actually beneficial. You're not under the gun like you are when he's playing at Fulham and you're playing 40, 50 matches a season.
The inverse of that is, does he lose a bit of sharpness playing in a league like MLS?
I think at his age, as you get older, it's more beneficial as opposed to being younger in MLS and having that much time.
Right, but for center back, wouldn't you want somebody like Pepe who stayed at the elite level? I wonder whether you come to Major League Soccer where the demand is less than in Europe. The expectations are. It's obviously everything is. It's a couple of tones.
I hear exactly
lighter.
what.
I don't know.
The strikers you face are not at the ilk.
There's a lot of guys in your generation that came back from Europe around that 2014, 15.
2013, Clint Dempsey before the World Cup.
Charlie, can you make a case for Tim Ream right now? Like, what have you seen, even looking back at that first leg against Jamaica, you know, like, what is the benefit of having Tim Ream on the pitch right now?
So we've talked about, I think, ad nauseum, the lack of pace that Tim Ream has, right? But if he's partnered, he's partnered with the right player, his IQ makes up for that.
Right. Okay.
And that's in every league across the world. Yeah. If you are smart enough with your positioning, you don't have to be put in a position where you're exposed for your pace. But ultimately, in some cases you will. But I think Mark McKenzie has such great recovery speed that they do partner well together. What I've seen from Tim Ream, which is why I think he still has what it takes to play, is he's so good with the ball at his feet and building out of the back. He's exceptional at that.
But the rest of it's not enough of a liability where you don't think by the time the World Cup comes that Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie are good enough to handle that on their own?
Yes, you hope. But at the moment, we're talking now. Now they're not.
But he's saying he wants to play for another 2 to 3 years, which would
I would hope so. If you're a professional soccer player and you're saying, I hope to play 6 more months, what is that?
But
I'm not mad if he's on the roster.
I think he's inserting himself into the conversation of he would like to be on the roster for the World Cup.
As one would deserve to start.
You would hope that if you're playing with the national team at 37 years old, you're not going to go,
And I hope that one salad I ate last weekend means I can fit into those old pants.
It's not the same at all.
Move on.
It's not the same at all.
Move on at some point. How much time does Pochettino have to get this team prepared for the World Cup?
It doesn't matter. At this
Playing
point,
someone who's 37 years old and probably won't be starting at the World Cup is probably not the move. Have him in camp. Have him in training.
Here's a look at our center back depth chart right now, Charlie. If you had to pick does
anyone there move you? Does anyone's name there go, oh my God, they're a sure starter. I can't wait to see them on the pitch. I can't wait to see what the future looks. But there's not one.
But not even Tim Ream, right? Not a single, like, even from the starters. Because right, correct. And to echo your statement and your sentiments, Tim Ream, before the World Cup, nobody wanted him near the national team. Let's be very clear. And he solidified a spot. And I think he won over public opinion around
from
the
his
World
club
Cup.
form.
Right. And then they were like, oh, okay, there was this like massive change in public opinion. Let's be very clear about where Tim Ream stood at the national team pre-World Cup.
Do you remember what that was? What was the cause of that?
Pep Guardiola.
No, but why he was pushed away from the national team so easily? Do you remember the performance?
No.
That pushed him away so easily. It was the Nations League that the U.S. won 3-2, the first one, where he was playing left back and left center back in a back three, and was getting absolutely cooked by Diego Lainez. You remember inside out? And you were like, get this man off the pitch.
Right.
Because he was exposed. And then he went to Fulham. They play a lower line. He had good partners next to him, Anthony Robinson and the right center back, can't remember off the top of my head. But when you're put in a good situation, a situation where you can succeed because you have people who can play with that.
So, but against CONCACAF opponents, he's going to play high. At a World Cup, and here's where I'll back Charlie on this. To win a World Cup, if you're the U.S., if you're not Argentina, you're not France, you're not Germany.
You're going to play a low line.
You're going to be further back. That height of that line,
at best.
And in reduced space, to be honest now, I might trust Tim Ream a little bit more than other guys.
I think all four of us would agree on that. No one is saying he shouldn't even be on the roster. We all believe he should be there.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to go up against a squad that you just named and you are going to play a lower line, it makes a lot of sense to start that man. But when we go up against a high line, when we're going up against temes where we can have more possession.
Has it shown that it hasn't worked with the Poch?
No, it hasn't. But we're not. The World Cup isn't in 2 weeks, dude. Does it not make sense to not have this man starting in those situations? Well, that's what Susan and I said, and everyone's acting like we said retire and go sit on a Burka lounge.
Well, you did.
No, I didn't.
Last show, you said
move on,
retire, be done with the national team.
I never said those last words.
Essentially,
and then I said
we read through the lines,
and then I put a period on that sentence.
What I will say is the only.
You said he should go to a nursing home, didn't you just say it?
Yes, but just to visit his gam. Misses.
The only player in that position that we want to see a partner with Mark McKenzie, who I think is Chris Richards.
Okay.
And he hasn't been healthy. So in a perfect scenario, because Chris Richards, if he's playing at Crystal Palace and playing well, Crystal Palace aren't doing so well.
He has all the talent.
Then you're saying those two players are the future in the position right now.
Yeah.
CCV?
No. Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards.
Okay. Debate settled. Tim Ream, we love you.
See? You weren't being mean, Tim.
We weren't. Long may you...
Roll the tape back.
Yeah.